Hey everyone, welcome back to another Stock Market Open live stream. Today we are the eve of the Federal Reserve and the CPI meeting. Well, actually, it's more like a Federal Reserve meeting and CPI data release. But anyway, it's pretty exciting. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty big day. Tomorrow morning we'll get CPI, then we'll have the Fed. Obviously, we had the Apple event yesterday. What did everybody think about the Apple event? It's kind of a interesting way they put the event on, that's for sure. Started out real slow and gave it to us slowly. You've got Apple here in pre-market, down about 15 basis points in pre-market. Not really a big move. You got some other things that are a little red too, so it doesn't matter so much. Yesterday down about 2%, so no biggie here. Open doors down 71 bips this morning. Tesla's up about 0.05. Nvidia's down about 0.25%, and the Qs are down about 31 basis points. GameStop continues its slide, down 1.25. Yesterday it was down 12%. 12.01%. That's quite a big move there. If we zoom out to see where it's landing, you can really see it's playing, or at least trying to play between the various fibs here. We've got 2269, seems like we're at candle wick 2 yesterday. If I go to the 30-minute, you'll be able to see it a little better. Look at this. You went from one fib, reject in the pre-market, bounce during the market day, and now we're sort of in no man's land over here. But you bounced at 2306, and we've got a line at 2269, so pretty close. So as far as economic data and catalyst, big thing again, today, sure, we'll get small business optimism. I don't think, honestly, people cared that much. Came in slightly higher than expected at 90.5 versus 89.7. Big deal. And this compares to the catalysts we're getting tomorrow, which are the big ones. So, but small business optimism, it's worth noting that when you hear this like 90 figure, you want to compare it back to what it used to be. This is not like one of those surveys where, the baseline is 50. Before the pandemic, business optimism was somewhere around 107, maybe 105, somewhere in that range, 104.7. You had some lower optimism in 2015, a little bit of a slowdown over there. You were at about the mid-90s. And now we've been sort of bobbing around 89 to 91. So definitely less optimism than we've had previously. And it has been rotating up now since about March. So a little bit of optimism coming back. So it gives you a little bit of an idea on how that's functioning. You do have, let's see here, we have... Let's see what yields are doing this morning. So all indices are down. 34 on Dow, 26 on S&P, NASDAQ 24. But you are at, let's see, what is this? 2.4 basis points. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay, interesting. You have 2.4 basis points on the 10-year to the downside. Back to about 4.45 if I round it. I'm a little surprised that, I guess yields popped back up quite a bit because of the jobs report, because we got all the way down to about 4.25. So we're up about 20 basis points since then. And we'll see how the Fed responds, because I think the goal of the Fed is to sort of massage that yield back down. But I think what you're going to get is this interesting almost experiment where you see a Fed that either massages this yield down or up, and it'll sort of show you where they want the 10-year. Do they want it closer to 4.25, or do they want it closer to 4.5? Really, I also think that when they cut, yields probably won't move at all, presumably now in November or December when they cut. But yields probably won't move at all, because you'll have a Fed that's basically fully priced that just with communication. But we'll see. That'll be tomorrow. We'll get to analyze all of that. Right now, for the end of the year, we are pricing in 1.58 rate cuts. That's for December. And then we're at 0.9 now being priced in for November, which that's interesting. Let's fix this chair here. Oh, there we go. That's better. We're almost fully pricing in a rate cut in November. Over the last few days, we'd really been fluctuating between pricing in maybe 0.7 of a rate cut, half a chance of a rate cut, but that seems to be getting closer and closer to 1 just after the election, which is definitely going to look quite political if you hold the election and then 2 days later you cut rates. That'll look a little political, but that's all right. So they'll have to unwind that damage. All right, so let's see what other movers we have here. I know we've got BTC rotating down a little bit. We've got, let's see here. Yeah, look at this. So I think I drew this line yesterday, so I meant for this not to be a blue color, because that always makes it look very important. And there we go. I was just messing around yesterday with downtrends. And yeah, one of the things I'm noticing is we've kind of been legging down since the early, here we go, let me make this a little thinner too. And there we go. So we've somewhat been legging down since basically you got the Bitcoin ETF approval that sort of led to all-time highs. And then you get the Ethereum ETF approval and you really didn't move at all. And now what's happening is Bitcoin is being considered a hedge. And it makes a lot of sense because Bitcoin's a risk asset. And so if you go short the Qs, you're really shorting like NVIDIA and some of these big names that keep pumping, which I think there's room for as well. Like there's an argument to be made for that, especially over the next 3 months, over sort of the near term here. But a lot of folks just want exposure to shorting a risk asset. And so a lot of people look at Bitcoin as a tool as you go into the Fed meeting or catalysts that could lead to a risk-off market, like, frankly, a recession. So we'll see. We shall see. But I think it's really the only thing sort of contributing to BTC. In addition to, obviously, it's been toppy, right? I mean, you couldn't hold it over 71.1 when you first broke out. You got rejected. Candle wick breakout and then a rejection. I mean, it's getting to be a pretty powerful line, that 71.1 line. At least it continues to reiterate itself as that. But, knowing Bitcoin, there's always the possibility that it just legs up pretty rapidly. So, all right, let's listen to the doomers for a moment.
All right, I want to get over to Mike McKee right now, our international policy and economics reporter here. Did you have guns and butter in your economics class?
Oh, absolutely. But that was the Lyndon Johnson era, too.
Yeah.
Guns and butter, Vietnam, inflation, and we saw what happened there. Tomorrow, we're not going to have much of a change in inflation. The CPI forecast, at least according to the median of economists surveyed by Bloomberg, as they say, will show a decline in the headline number that might be somewhat impressive, but it's not going to have an impact on the year-over-year number because of base effects. Core doesn't move very much either. So what is the Fed going to be looking at? Well, primarily, they will look at, as will we all, housing. What is happening with housing? I want to show you a chart here that tells this story very well. This is the harmonized inflation chart that shows U.S. CPI the way that the Europeans do it. Why did the ECB cut rates? Well, because their inflation rate is lower. Ours would be too if we didn't have the complicated way we measure housing, and you can see that here. The blue line,
we've covered that on the channel quite a bit. We've actually been at 2% for like 9 months already.
And the white line takes that out. So you could see why we're in different places, and what the Fed needs to see is that blue line coming down towards the white line. When will that happen? Well, go back to Jay Powell's news conference at the last Fed meeting, and he said, we don't really know. That's a problem for them because at this point, the exact timing of it, they've learned lags are longer, he said. We now think significantly longer than we thought at the beginning. And so while they're confident it will come down, they're not confident in the timing of that, which leaves everybody on Wall Street waiting to see what they say about timing tomorrow. The forecasts are at this point that December's the only thing that's baked in. November's a strong maybe, about 90%, but nothing before that really gets over 50-50. So
yeah, but keep in mind that 90% has been growing. So we continue to bake it in more and more and more. Somebody's got a good question here. They say, when you mention 1.8 rate cuts are priced in, the market is at near all-time highs compared to when the market was pricing in 3 rates. That's not the only factor that goes into a market, though, right? Markets are complicated. You have jobs information, you have sentiment information, you have earnings information, you have earnings projections. Markets price in way more than just what interest rates are doing. In fact, quite frankly, I mean, you have to look at some of the big companies like, again, an Apple or Microsoft or Nvidia or whatever, and remember that they don't care about rate cuts. If anything, these companies benefit off rate cuts, off high rates, because they make so much money off their cash doing nothing. So really, there's a lot of the economy that just doesn't care what rates are. If anything, they benefit when rates are high. So that's something important to keep in mind. When will BTC be seen as a long-term asset like gold? Well, usually when you call something a risk asset, it's because volatility is high. All right. So, this is on the volatile side. You're within the span of 3 months. You've got what's your trading range in 3 months? That's the way to look at it. 56.6 to 73. So 73.826 divided by 58. Well, actually, I could just do the difference. You get a 15,800 difference here divided by the price where we sit now. Yeah, you've got a 23% range in 3 months. That's just an example of how people would look at BTC. So let's see here. Say what you want. If SPY corrects 20 to 30%, Bitcoin will correct 40 to 50%. Well, exactly, right? So it does have a higher beta. I could tell you actually what its beta is. Actually, I think I can. I would guess it does have a beta of probably like 1.5 to 1.7. But let me see if I actually can. I don't know that I can. Let's see here. Historical beta. Actually surprised by that. At least according to this on the S&P 500, it has a lower beta. I don't know if that's true. 0.94, almost in line with the market, but that's a little interesting. Because yeah, I would definitely expect it to have sort of a multiplier effect on a percentage swing. So let's see here. Going to Italy in October. I've been DCAing into Eurocash. This investing lifestyle is getting ridiculous. Nice. Okay. Watch the documentary. FDR had to convince people to keep their money in banks. Yeah, I believe that. Affirm? Why? Let's see why Affirm's moving. Let's see what y'all are talking about. Ooh, Affirm just popped up. 6.9% right now. Let's see what we have here. Apple Pay going to have Affirm for BNPL. Oh, see, they mentioned in their Apple Wallet feature that they'll be able to use other BNPL products through the wallet, and I think that's what this makes sense. payment products to be available to Apple Pay users. Products to be available to Apple Pay users this year at Affirm. Affirm sees no material impact on revenue or gross merchandise volumes. Interesting. Yeah, this is all part of their Apple Wallet integration. So basically what they're trying to do is just give you access to all sorts of different BNPL providers. It's kind of smart. Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on a rumor going around. Word was Microsoft was going to try to buy Steam recently, but the new whisper is GameStop is now buying them with billions in cash and maybe a sharing offering. It's a cool rumor. I mean, it seems, I'm pretty sure Steam is public. Let's see here. Steam. So, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know what they are. They are private. Steam was released on September 12th, 2020 or 2003. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if they've got to have done a fundraising or something. Steam valuation. Okay, Bloomberg valued Valve, the company that owns Steam, at $6.9 billion. Yeah? Yeah? So, GameStop just raised a bunch of cash. I mean, they had cash before and relatively little debt. They just raised another $3.5 billion. They basically raised half of Steam. It's interesting. Yeah, that would be a game changer, right? And you basically take a public company that buys a company like Steam. No, not bad. I have no idea if the rumor's true, but that would be a very interesting strategy, because then you would finally move into being able to provide game services in a digital way, and you take ownership of a pretty great platform. I mean, Steam's pretty good, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, Texas Stock Exchange isn't really a big deal right now. Please speak on the rumor about BlackRock filing an application for the spot Doge ETF. I mean, yeah, you're probably going to get an ETF for every single type of crypto there is. But I think it's important to remember what happened with Ethereum. Ethereum moved, what did we get? We moved about 20%. And actually when they actually came out with I think we moved, this is what happened. We were over here at about 3K, 2,800. So how much of a movement do we have? Once it became apparent that we were going to actually get them, you ran up to roughly 4,000. So that's pretty good. You had about a 38% move. And so I think what's going to happen is every time we get a new sort of ETF, the moves are going to be even smaller and smaller and smaller every single time. And I think with the Bitcoin ETF, you really had your major rally since like January. Yeah, I mean, look, January, let's see here. Ethereum was at 2,200. Bitcoin in January was about 43,000. And so the Bitcoin ETFs brought you to 73 from 43, brought you up about 69%. So you really made about half as much progress on Ethereum after their ETF, speculation and then confirmation. And so I think as you get more coins or tokens or whatever getting their own ETFs, you're probably going to see even more nominal moves. But eventually what you'll have is you'll have like a Bitcoin or a crypto ETF where you can invest in 10 different tokens or coins or whatever you want, and they all have their own little underlying ETFs, and you can kind of have one ETF that has exposure to all the ones that you want, and then you could trade amongst them. So, or sort of rebalance amongst them. I think that's the direction that things are going. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. There's Q's on the day. NFT marketplace with GME. Yeah, be interesting. Yeah. Let's go to GME in the morning here. It's down about 1%. Yeah, I mean, if they came out and actually said they were doing something like that, that'd be your game-changing catalyst. So, it'll be something to watch. Okay. So, let's see here. What is there to do today? Let's hop in over here.
Do you think that makes sense?
I'm not sure, but I sense that you don't.
I don't at all.
No.
I think this is a steal.
So what explains that reaction? Is it just
Idiocy.
people haven't? Is there not a focus
so
on
let me focus on
the
what
sum of
David's
the
talking
parts?
about. You want idiocy? On Friday, I told club members, like, there are people who are saying it's a very narrow, Lily's got a very narrow approval from the FDA.
Okay.
First of all, it wasn't approved from the FDA, so that was completely wrong. But second, it was the most wide approval possible. But that was an example of stupidity at work, which is allowed because the First Amendment, they've never...
Oh, yeah, Elon yesterday about removing Apple devices if they integrate GPT. Yeah, did he watch the presentation? They made it really clear that their AI wouldn't use GPT unless you explicitly gave permission that the specific request you were making sends the data to GPT. Like, they really tried to go as far as they possibly could. Honestly, it almost seems like they went so far on trying to make sure that your data doesn't get sent to GPT that they made it annoying for users. Because now, if Siri's too dumb to figure it out and it wants to send it to GPT, you have to push another button. So, you know, like I don't know if Elon's like half listening sometimes, or if this is just another way to sort of promote X, you know, as like, oh, we're the free speech and data platform. It's like, okay, all right, but can't align with everything you're saying. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. What do I feel about that? I think it's either misunderstanding, or like he's. I don't think he's purposefully not paying attention here. I think maybe he heard something or like half listened while he's playing Dota or something like that, and he's like, "What? Apple integrating GPT? That's it. Let me send a tweet." I don't think he actually really paid attention to the event enough, and it's popular enough to say that or to meme about it. So and so that's what he does. So remember, their social media very frequently is a game of saying things that's popular, and then getting more viewership because you're sort of echoing popular sentiment. I hate that shit. But that's okay. Everybody's different. So let's listen in here.
Make him out from that background. Noted tech bull Dan Ives there from Wedbush speaking to Bloomberg earlier on Apple's AI reveal, but not everybody shares his optimism.
Apple's typically not the first to a new product category, but they're also always the best. You saw nothing today that's better than the competition. You saw nothing today that's different from the competition, except marketing and a focus on privacy, right? So that's the difference here. They're not the first, but they're also not the best, and they're not the most advanced.
I don't know about that. I think the one of the features that I really enjoyed was the idea of like, hey, make me a video of my trip to whatever, and they'll sort of make sort of a collage memory for you with music. That I thought was really cool. That is because now what you're doing is you're using the actual photos that are on your device, and you're making something that's personally useful. So yeah, there were quite a few things that I liked. You know, that the personalized video was neat. The make your own emojis is actually kind of funny. That's useful. I think notifications with AI Oh, finally. Like, sometimes I catch myself, I'm on Do Not Disturb all day long, and then I miss important things. You know, but I also need to get a lot of stuff done during the day, and so sometimes I just need to be able to concentrate, and I just freaking can't when you've got so many notifications popping up all the time. So maybe notifications with AI could solve that. It doesn't seem like it's a hard thing to solve. I think probably GPT itself could do it these days, but yeah, I think there's some things that were pretty neat. Math notes was neat. Yeah, teaching kids how to do that. Even honestly in presentations, like being able to change the variable on something that you've drawn out. I really like that. That was pretty good too.
Why do they have to license someone else's technology?
Because they were late to the party. You know, Mark Gurman's newsletter today really outlined how they were actually working on a lot of this generative AI technology, but then came along ChatGPT in 2022, and they really had to speed that up in a way that they were just not able to do. They take their time because everything that they release is just really perfected, it's polished, and so they're not going to release something that isn't ready. And frankly, they needed to show their consumers something, and they had to have the help of OpenAI to do that. Now, they're going to look for other partners here. They were very forthcoming about that in a separate presser with some journalists, that they're going to seek the help of Google and Google's Gemini. They were also in previous talks with Anthropic. So this kind of admission that they can't do it on their own is pretty unique, but just exactly how they bring their own technology to the table, I think could be a game changer, because like Mark said, they're never used.
Yeah, it's not bad. Well, we can talk about Apple some more. I gotta actually, I gotta make my video on it. I didn't get it done yesterday. I was very, very busy yesterday. But that's okay. Okay, good. So, Robinhood, oh, interesting. Look at that. Robinhood was breaking out yesterday. And so you were up about 5.59. As soon as you broke this purple line, it ran. Oh, hey. Remember, coupon code DOTPLOT expires tomorrow. We just brought it out yesterday, so it's like super short term. But anyway, look how crazy this is. Right back down to your 2292 line. And these were just purple little day trading range lines that I drew, I think early last week, and it just keeps sort of respecting them. So they're getting tougher, as I like to say. I'm a little more resilient. All right, we're 7 minutes away from the bell. Enphase also had a nice little run. Look at that, bouncing on 128.60 over here. Good 6% day yesterday. It's pretty good. Tesla's got to get some love. You gotta give them. And Elon Musk. Has anyone seen the Chinese Elon? Is it Elon Ma? That's great. It's like Y-I. What is his name? I'm pretty sure it's Yi La Ma or something like that. Yi Lon Ma. Yeah. I found him. We've shown him on here before, haven't we? Let me see. I don't know what we have. Alright, whatever. Really? You know it's bad when your Windows PC won't let you change your audio input. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. Alright, let's listen into Kramer for a moment.
Now, Jeff knows that Alphabet had been a tough company as an advertising representative.
Right.
But this is just win. Okay? And remember, this is the fastest growing part of all advertising in the world.
Right.
You're not going to talk at all about cable. I can't get you to talk about cable, can I?
What would you like me to say? I mean, by the way, the business is broadband. Broadband brings all these streaming services.
This is theme parks.
Streaming services to bear. So when broadband turns around, that's what moves the business.
Well, okay, I'm just saying that these.
I don't know, Kramer. This is boring. See, we can be boring, or we can listen to Elon Ma.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elon Musk. Today is Chinese New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. I love you. I love you guys. Wow, wow. I love you.
Oh, man. Elon Musk. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love it. So, yeah. I don't know. How does this have 1.1 million views on the Cybertruck? Hold on. Last one.
Everyone, I'm Elon Musk. Tesla. Cybertruck. Very cool. I love you. I love you, Cybertruck. Beautiful. Wow. Wow.
You know, what's interesting, when he looks to the side and he's sort of thinking, he does kind of look like Elon. That's actually kind of funny. Oh, man. Okay. Oh, wow. Somebody's like, he's better at unveiling the Cybertruck than Elon himself. Oh. Oh. Yikes. All right. So, next. Okay, so, all right, we're only about 2.5 minutes away here from market open. We've got GME down about 3%. You've got BTC down about 189. You've got what is that? Affirm's moving up nicely on that Apple Wall news. I mean, they basically forecasted yesterday. I was gonna make my my Apple video, and I wrote in my notes, I'm like, oh, they're gonna open up to like other companies like Affirm. Now I wish I would have made my video yesterday because, you know, could have given a heads up on that. It was very obvious when they made the wallet announcement that they were going to open to the BNPL partners. Oh, well. So, but then, of course, there's always the question of which one. It could have been Klarna. It could have been, you know, Afterpay, whatever. Could have been really any of the integrations. So, hard to have speculated, I guess, anyway. I guess you could buy a basket of all of them. But anyway, so, yeah, all right, Robin the Hood's almost down 3%. Going over to the upside, though, Snowflake moving up 2%. You've got Trade Desk coming up again, 81 basis points, 2 minutes away from the open, 72 basis points on Google. Etsy moving up about 59, Apple up about 23, Tesla up about 7. Nvidia's roughly flat here. Oops, that's into it. Let's go to Nvidia here. We're going to be watching this one pretty closely today. It's its second day post-split. Usually after a split, you either get negative right after the split, or you get about 3 days of green, up to about 3 days of green. But at some point after a split, you usually have a little rotation down that people like trading. So watching for that. And yeah, here we go. Q's down about 30 basis points. We got coupon code .plot expiring tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. That's after we get our CPI and Fed report. Had about a 13K day yesterday on a 50K option on Apple during the trading event. Can't guarantee you can always make money. Definitely don't always make money. But if you're looking for my trade alerts in perspective, we got a huge trade alert coming today. So stay tuned. It's going to be really big. Here we go.
Dinosaur in their hand. That may be completely attuned.
Let's get the opening bell in the CNBC real-time exchange. And the big board today is financial services company First Horizon. celebrating 25 years. At the NASDAQ, it is Confluent, a data streaming platform celebrating its third listing anniversary.
I have to tell you, I get a kick out of when I see the CEO and he's not at the top. He's with the people. Brian Jordan right over there. He's a remarkable CEO. I've been on the show. He's been handled a lot.
Looks that board looked pretty dang red there for a moment, eh? So I guess we'll see what's going on here, but all right. So big thing now is just going to be paying attention to how the market responds to all the goodies that we've got to talk about. Which I'm really paying attention to Nvidia this morning. Want to see how Nvidia moves. Looks like we're sitting at about that 23 basis point level. See where this goes. Then we're looking at BTC moving as well. So we'll keep an eye over here. And looks like we're going to be somewhere around 67, 1-ish. It does make me wonder how we're going to get what's it called this morning? What we're going to get in terms of a Bitcoin movement. Are we going to hold on to this or not today? I think that's going to be a big deal, watching if we can hold 67 today. And then we're also going to be looking at Ethereum. So we'll see. Getting a little bit of some candle movements to the downside there. Same thing here on Nvidia. Looks like Nvidia is slowly trying to give up a little bit of a lead there. So we'll watch this. It does look like Coin had a little bit of a movement down. Coin continuing to move down a little bit. You've got a pretty big support level for this at the 244 level. 244 is going to be a big one I'm watching. So then you've got GameStop. Wow, GameStop now down about 4.5%. Nice little rotation down there. Ouch. And we are looking at Tesla. Looks like sitting right at that 174 line again. This has been very, very typical for Tesla to sit here. Not unusual at all to be sitting in this range right here. And then we've got, let's see here, the Qs sitting at about 24. Looks like they're trying to move up. I'm also going to send a quick alert on a position that I'm building. I just added a little bit to it. This is a really big trade for this week. I'm going to keep kind of building this one up. So I'm sending this alert out to those of you in the Stocks and Site group, especially since it's a position that I'm looking to probably 10x over the next few days here. So we'll see. And in terms of how much I want to put into it, and then we'll see which way things go. So I'm basically playing for an up or a down, and you could play it both ways. So let's see here. Trade desk. I've got 1.33. This is pretty remarkable. That's a pretty big move there, right here from just what we saw minutes ago. So nice move there on trade desk, and looks like Coin's dropping some more. You've got Nvidia's dropping, Tesla's dropping this. But yeah, wow, look at this. You're getting some volatility here all of a sudden. Look at that, 6.3 on GameStop. Nvidia's trying to go green. Interesting movement here. Let's see, what's BTC doing? BTC still trying to figure out a direction over here, isn't it? But wow, 6.4% on GameStop. Where are we going? Looks like we're trying to go right back down to 2269 is where it looks like this one's going. Somebody says Apple's moving. Apple, you've got, wow, nice. 1.4% movement on Apple, nice. And then you've got Affirm's up 10%, continues to push. Nice. Now it's starting to turn a little bit there on Affirm. Coinbase really had a move this morning, huh? It's really slipping quite a bit here. And then you've got Apple that just really wants to keep pushing. There you go. Finally getting a little bit of a green candle that's trying to get created over there on coin. And then you're looking at, BTC sort of continuing its little rotation down there. Let's listen into Jimbo for a moment.
Elon Musk compensation plan. Don't forget, there is also a vote on reincorporating in the state of Texas.
Right.
As I've said many times, that will require the majority of the votes outstanding to be in favor. So you need 50.1% of the outstanding votes. A bit different than what you need for the compensation.
Yeah, BTC just had another little leg down. Now you're under the 67 level. That's going to be a level I'm watching today.
Musk can't vote his shares, but big institutions are going to be the key. Retail obviously will be broadly supportive, one would imagine, and that is proving out to be the case, I think, at least based on sort of the early reads here.
But he has to take what? How much? How much of that retail?
How much?
Huge percentage.
Yeah, like 90%.
But you think it's possible?
I think so. I think so.
Coin's now down 5.3. Tesla's actually rotating down here on, I can't find any particular news on it. It's probably just in anticipation of the shareholder meeting here. You get some anxiety going into it, and people don't like uncertainty, so they sell out. What do we got here? NVIDIA moving up nicely. Let's keep going to Kramer.
I don't want to confuse the two, but
we did talk to Chris Ailman of CalSTRS.
Yeah. CalSTRS. Sorry, excuse me, I misspoke.
I'm concerned. I think that there are people who are. There are people who just think, you know what, he doesn't deserve it. I don't know who these people are, but there are people who just say, there are people who bought it at 210, and they bought it at 230.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
You're
dealing with a shareholder base now as opposed to the shareholder base then, which was a target price that seemed almost impossible to reach, as opposed to now you're looking at what will be significant dilution. And so you're like, why would I want to pay that?
What happens if you bought it at 250?
I don't have to.
If you bought it at 250, are you going to vote for it? Or do you think, you're going to vote for dilution? No, that's why I'm saying you're not.
You've got Kramer bagging on it.
Baird with a note out today saying they do expect it to pass, Jim. Also got Jonas at Morgan Stanley reiterating Ford top pick on their EV strategy shift.
Yeah, I love Jonas. I thought there was actually absolutely nothing in his note because this is a day where GM is once again proving that it knows how to move a stock. With the $6 billion buyback. And Mary Barra quietly is the most, she's fed up with her PE of 6. She won't stop till that stock's dramatically higher. And she gets like zero credit for what she's trying to do, which is make a lot of money for shareholders.
Meantime, B of A looking at corporate client buyback. Last week, biggest weekly volume since 2010.
Really?
Yes. As this window has been pretty solid on the buyback front.
That's very, very positive. In the meantime, I was doing some work on companies that once they're booted from the S&P, how they do very, very poorly. And I call attention to Comerica, which now yields 6%. So, old-fashioned bank that's done well, and then suddenly it's like, see you later from the S&P. The S&P, they've been very active. They created, the most active passive fund in America.
Yep.
Right? Like that.
The most active passive fund.
Right.
Yes.
Well, they kick out Robert Half. They see you later, Robert Half. You're not doing well.
Illumina.
Let's bring in CrowdStrike. Yep. Yeah,
right.
Illumina.
They're just talking about the S&P inclusion here, so we're going to flip on them for a moment, and then we'll chat some more here.
The only S&P industry group that's in the red this year.
Right.
What do you think about that whole area for the consumer?
So if we get rates coming down on a sustained basis, then I think real estate is an opportunity you can look at. Like REITs will start to do a little bit better there. But there is some concern. And you look at the housing market right now, housing leads CPI by about 12 months. We're seeing housing prices continue to move higher because supply of existing homes is so low. So to me, that means it's probably not going to be an area of growth anytime soon. No one wants to trade in a 3% mortgage and go get a 7% mortgage to replace it. So I think those are areas you have to be cautious in. And a lot of it is going to have to do with where rates go. If we stay in this 4% to 4.5%, 4.60 range for a while, you're probably not going to get a lot of movement in those areas.
Bill Gross was on the close yesterday talking about a wide gamut of things, but one of them is MLPs. He always comes back to that. He loves those MLPs. And you're down in Texas,
yes,
right? What do you think?
Master lease partnerships with oil.
Think about the energy patch right now.
So obviously being in Houston, we have a lot of exposure to the energy sector. And I think because of some of the pullback that we've seen there, you have an opportunity to get into some of these names. We like those involved in transportation. You know, it's difficult sometimes on the production side, but because the U.S. is producing more, because we're exporting more, and because you have such strong balance sheets, we go back to the balance sheets, the cash sitting on the balance sheets of these companies, this is where you can invest and put a little bit of money to work. We saw Brent go back above $81. WTI is close to, what, 78, 79 this morning.
Yep.
Obviously, you can have some geopolitical events that cause some volatility there, but I think based on what the U.S. is doing, I think you can put some money to work in those areas.
We were just talking to Cole Smead. He's out in Phoenix, obviously a big fan of the economy there. They moved there from Washington. You're down in Houston, as you mentioned. Isn't it hard to do business when your energy grid continues to collapse? I mean, isn't that an important part about doing business?
It's an important part of everyday life, right?
Yeah.
To have that going. And yes, we did have some issues a couple years ago when we had the freeze. And I mean, I left Houston a few days ago. It's mid-90s. It's hot there. Lots of air conditioning that's running. But it's a great state for business. And it's the infrastructure component that we have to continue to build out. I think we'll see a lot of work in that area, especially as we've had so many people move into the state. So we've had more tax generation.
Yeah, one of the issues that you're having, though, is once you stop having the inflow, you get that inventory buildup. Yeah, so and that's not super price supportive. Okay, so another thing too, okay. How do I want to say this? For course members, we're gonna have a pretty big course member live today. We got a lot to cover with a really big trade that I'm doing. So stay tuned for that, and I'm just gonna give you my research on it, and we're gonna go through. Not only some historical data, but some statistics that we're seeing right now that are really indicative that there could be, as Rowan Katie likes to say, an asymmetric opportunity that could be really interesting. So stay tuned for that. Okay, green candle on NVIDIA. Apple caps out at about 2. Looks like getting a little bit of a ceiling there at about 197. Probably a tough lid right at about 200, frankly, for it. You've got NVIDIA's up about 0.5%, 64 basis points here. Bitcoin getting stuck under that 67 level. That's really leading coin to sell down about 5.3%. So you've got this sort of multiplier effect on how coin moves relative to how Bitcoin is moving. Then the Qs are trying to push in the direction of positive, probably being, supported, frankly, by what you're seeing at NVIDIA trying to green candle here. Robinhood gave up that 22.92 move. As the momentum movement fades, you're probably going to see a slowdown in the enthusiasm for Robinhood stock. Usually when we get really rapid movements in Robinhood stock, it's because there's this anticipation of a lot of trading, like a Bitcoin ETF approval, or whatever. Could be Roaring Kitty leaning forward in his gaming chair, right? So this is very common. Ooh, Apple's trying to continue its push up now. So good job, Apple. The tools are practical. They've got a lot of practical tools that they're adding. Getting stuck around that 0.6 there on NVIDIA. Let's see which way we go. GameStop, again, trying to get down to the 22.69 level. Tesla, you're really 2 days away from the eve of the shareholder vote. So it's interesting that we just broke the 174 to 178 trading range. So we'll see if it's able to hold this 170.04-ish line. This is another pretty big one for Tesla, because other than that, if you don't hold this, you end up going into that 168-ish territory, maybe even as low as 163. Coinbase continues to fall, down about 5.8 here. It's actually short coin, so I took some tendies here. Again, I send all my theses, I send them all to everyone in the Stocks and Psych group. People are in there, have been in there for 4 years. They're like, I paid once, I'm still getting value. It looks like the Qs are rotating down a bit right now. You really gave up on the idea that you were going to try to go green today, which also makes sense. I mean, if I had to bet what direction today was going to go, it would be that you'd have a red day today, because tomorrow you have huge catalysts. I mean, you have CPI, you have the Fed. You know, it's crazy. So yeah, pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable. So somebody says you added coin. I didn't add coin. You might want to you might want to check check what you're reading. So then we've got let's see here. What else do we have here? Then you've got Amazon minus 44. Okay, here. Keep in mind, this was a close short position, hence why it says buy. Okay, we gotta get you into the lectures. Okay, when you're short, you buy to close something. Oh, Dave, I'm sorry, man. It's all right. All right. So so then we've got open door down 236. We've got, okay, Enphase giving up a little bit. So yesterday you had like a 6.5% day, which was remarkable. And then you're now down about 174. So I think this is really just Fed and CPI fear. Fed CPI fear is what you've really got going on, getting priced in here. Tesla, AMD's trying to push here. And then you've got Apple's trying to push out here. Look at that. It's at 198 level is really where it's getting stuck right now. 198. Tesla's right at that line again. Breaking the... Oh, look at this. Watch this one. Then you've got... yeah, NVIDIA trading sideways. Okay. This keeps moving. Coin keeps moving. Oh, look at that. Look at the Qs sell down. Holy smokes. Wow. That was a fat red candlestick. Where did this just come from? So, that's pretty remarkable. Let's go to, what do we have here? Ooh, Dell's moving down. Big red candle. Lots of candles here on Amazon moving straight down. Open doors trying to gap down. Where are our big movers today? I mean, I know Affirm was a big mover today. And we've got GameStop's down 7.5. Carvana's down 6. It's come off of this 129 gap up level, and it's really rotating back down to about 91. Coinbase down about 5.9. Yeah, I had a huge short position on this. Then you've got, but I'm setting up for a new play right now. That's going to be pretty wild, I think. So then you've got 4% on Robinhood. My goodness. Let's go into here. Yeah, look at that. Just breaks through both day trade lines here. And Apple's still holding on, and so is NVIDIA. Both of these kind of holding on to that level where they are. Okay, so somebody says Zim's down 13%. Yikes. Okay, let's go to... looks like JP Morgan just put out a piece on Tesla. Tesla is unlikely to unveil a robotaxi for years. While Tesla will show a robotaxi concept and potentially an accompanying app on August 8th, material revenue generation is likely years to come. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's obvious. People should have. I mean, how many videos did I make saying that? Maybe JP Morgan analysts are watching the videos. Hey, that's fine. Anybody's allowed to watch the videos. They're free. Free videos. So, anyway, Google just turned red. Qs are down about 0.5% there. Okay, let's see what the Doomers have got.
certainly, but I don't think they're restrictive relative to the places where people see demand. And the other thing I would say,
this just in, future only company, still in future only, basically.
pre-pandemic, it spiked in 2020, it came back down in 2021, and it's now settled at a pace that is still significantly higher than 2019. And not in the way that we see, if you look, whenever we see an economic downturn, we see a spike in business formation. That always happens. But this isn't like that. This is month after month at a steady rate that is about a third higher than it was in 2019. And that does bode well for the economy.
What are the size of the businesses that you serve? How many do you serve? And how important is tomorrow's decision to your business?
Look, I serve businesses that are generally between 0 and $20 million of revenue. We serve about almost 4.5 million of those businesses, about 4.2 million of those.
Boring.
Games, collectibles, consumer electronics, and retro arcades.
Also boring. Commercials. Okay, is coin hitting a bottom for the day? First green set of candles here I'm noticing on coin that actually seem like they have a little momentum back to the upside here. Goodness gracious. 198 there on Apple. Nvidia's moving. GameStop. Look at that. Almost at 2282 on GME. We're watching that movement down here. Gotta play the lines. I like to trust the lines. They help the trading portfolio. As soon as I stop paying attention to the lines, I have problems. Remember, it's not always green. Okay, so let's see here. Amazon, Enphase. Yeah, Enphase back to that 128 line. I don't know, this is a very interesting one. And Rare's up at $29. Zim, why is Zim down 13%? Let's say here. TD and Schwab accounts all down. Can't use, can't trade. Yikes. It's trashy. Let's go with... Let me see what's going on with Zim. Okay. Zim integrated... No, there's no particular news on Zim. Might just be sort of a trade as you go into Fed and CPI day here. NEO's down 4. You've got, yeah, look at that. You really broke the 170 line right here. That's, anytime I've seen that happen in the past, and it's not a guarantee, but it usually comes at least back to the line. Because if it doesn't, you might be looking at a 162 here before the meeting, which is really interesting. Which is also possible, because you've got a big catalyst here on Thursday for the stock. And it'll move substantially, I suspect. Okay, all right, this is pretty straightforward, pretty basic. Let's try, what is this? PIMCO warns of more U.S. regional bank failures on property pain, okay. Fed's higher for longer stance hits firms that expect a rate cut. Well, yeah, of course. What else here? Biden's Gaza pier is a symbol of U.S. fickleness. Oh, yeah? A storm wrecked the pier, delayed the superpower plans. Ultimately turned out to be doomed. Wow. Weeks of setbacks. Did they give up on it? Floating pier was an idea that was announced. Bloody, bloody, bloody. This weather's too bad, huh? Or I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be the weather. Just get bad regular sea currents. Yeah. All right. So, ooh, super micro. A little bit of a dumpy dude there. Look at that. Well, it's the accelerating down. Ah, there we go. Here comes the sell-off I've been waiting for. Come on, baby. Dump Nvidia. Everybody is selling going into the Fed meeting. This is incredible. BTC keeps going. Coin keeps going down. The Qs keep going down. Holy smokus. This is interesting. Oh, you got some. I mean, I took some tendies this morning. Let me see what I'm up this morning. Yesterday was 13. Last week wasn't good, but what's today so far? Gotta get, I'm setting up some longer positions. So yeah, 25.6 this morning. Okay, cool. Let's see how this keeps going. But there's some pain here. BTC is really forecasting more of it to come too. So you're gonna see volatility move up today. We're gonna talk. Don't let me not talk about a volatility trade in this course live stream this morning. So remind me if I forget. I want to talk about something I'm setting up. And let's see here. Okay. All right, Jimbo. Give me your best.
In a positive way. Macron.
It's an interesting framing.
Macron is kind of up.
I'm aware of what's going on. I just don't understand the question.
And then he says, listen, I'm going to stick around.
Yes.
Oh, like they're going to want him to stick around.
That's his bet. That is his bet.
There's a 28-year-old guy there who's incredibly important. And I think that we should have like 22-year-olds run France. Why do we have to have
the role of president in France is a powerful spot.
It used to be. I mean, De Gaulle was what? De Gaulle was like what? 19. I got
Jim. What's tonight?
Coterra, which is a natural gas company that should be doing very well, but this market's so negative it doesn't even care.
We'll see. We got a little bit of a reversal yesterday. We'll see if we get one.
It's good to have David back.
It is. Very nice.
Is it, Jim?
We'll see it tonight, Jim. Mad Money, 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thanks, Summer, on the jacket comment. All right. What do we have here? So, let's see. Oh, that was an interesting candle wick down on BTC. 66.6. NVIDIA's trying to recover. Yeah, it is. From its red here. Let's see if you can end up getting some recovery on the day. Or is this just going to be a pre-Fed, pre-CPI sell down? I suspect that's exactly what's going on. But Apple doesn't care. Apple's going to keep up on this. Apple's basically going to be up what Tesla's down right now. Which also makes sense that you get a sell down on Tesla before the event. People get so nervous about catalyst events. Snowflake's actually up. It's not really moving on this. Okay. PayPal dropping on the Affirm partnership news, although PayPal could probably just join them as well. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's funny. One of the reasons I loaded the boat on Apple was after they did their on-device AI paper. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. And that's basically what they announced yesterday, which is kind of cool. I think they... the event started really slow and boring, but I think they ended pretty strong. So, good for them. Okay, interesting. So, coin bottomed. Tesla's still finding the bottom. And honestly, being under this 170 it's bizarre. 168, I've seen a stopping point at 168 before. I don't have anything lined for it. But we mentioned that before. I said if we break this line, 168 is potentially a stopping point. We said that on this live stream. So we'll see if that actually holds and if this is just anxiety over either tomorrow or the Thursday meeting. Two big catalysts. Actually, it's really three big catalysts in a row for Tesla, right? You've got CPI, Fed, and the shareholder meeting. Then you've got the Qs down 40 basis points. And then you've got... you do have a little bit of a local bottom here that you've created. Apple's now at 3%. NVIDIA's still down about 20 basis points. Oh, all right. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you get a lot of the people who are playing the AI play that start saying things like, oh, you know, okay, maybe I need to go to a company that's actually able to implement artificial intelligence. And we're going to go, you know, move our NVIDIA money over to Apple. Who knows? It's just pure speculation. But I think breaking 200 here would be pretty remarkable if they can pull it off. So very curious to see what happens on Apple here. And the market in general. Here comes Coin. Coin in the queues trying to come back, trying to get a recovery now. Yep, BTC is trying to recover as well. It's pretty good, pretty good. And then you've got, yeah, GameStop's, look at that. GameStop basically bouncing off the line here. Wow, of course. Yeah, trust the lines. I have too much faith in the lines. So, yeah, go back to the line. Go right back where you came from, buddy. So, pretty remarkable. Okay, so then we've got, let's see, what else here? Then NVIDIA's trying to push green too. Okay, Doomers, give me what you got.
Until tomorrow when we get the big events of the week, CPI and then the Fed. But in any case, you take a look at the bond market right now, a little bit of a rally building. The 10-year yield currently lower to the tune of 2 basis points. Meanwhile, let's turn to the economic landscape because U.S. small business optimism improving to its highest level this year. The latest NFIB sentiment index climbed by a little under 1% in May to 90.5. For more on what the Fed is going to do with this, let's go now to Bloomberg's Mike McKee to break it all down. So put some context behind those numbers because it seems like good news.
Well, it is good news, at least for small businesses and for the economy. But the data are not making the case for a data-dependent Fed to cut interest rates. That 90.5, as you mentioned, is the highest headline number of the year. Economists had been looking at the small business numbers and saying, well, the small business is fading, and so that's a reason to cut rates. But not only is the headline higher, take a look.
Send another alert to those of you in the Stocks and Site group.
Prices. Hiring is up, and hiring intentions are up, and the intention to raise prices unchanged, still at an elevated level. So at this point, the small business people are thinking, well, we probably don't need to have rate cuts because they are also saying only 3% are saying they have a problem accessing credit. Now, that means the Fed has to figure out what to do. As you mentioned, we know they're not going to move rates tomorrow, but what are their forecasts going to say given all this kind of good news? Are they going to raise their GDP forecast, their unemployment forecast, and their PCE inflation forecasts? They did last time they made these summaries of economic projections in March. Do they go higher? Look at the GDP at this point, 2.1% is their forecast. We're already higher than that on estimations through the second quarter. And now the World Bank today raised its forecast for U.S. GDP growth to 2.5% this year from the ones. So it's beginning to look like the economy is not going to cooperate in slowing down enough to get any kind of definitive Fed word on when they might cut rates.
Well, following up on that.
All right, so yeah, I kind of agree with that too. Think you got a big catalyst on Apple if it breaks 200. No sure, it's probably going to get rejected before it goes through it though. But once you break 200 on Apple, I think that's going to be a pretty big moment. NVIDIA's trying to push up. The Qs are trying to. So is BTC. NVIDIA's still red. Tesla's trying to turn it around here. And you are waiting to see if Apple can break that 200 figure. It's at all-time highs. You are getting that recovery on Tesla right now. That is not a surprise that we would be trying to get back to that 170 line. It's going to be really important to ride that line on 170 if you're looking for a move on Tesla there. And Apple, it's knocking on the door of 200 here. I think there's a chance you get a lot of selling pressure right at 200, but once that selling pressure has abated, there is in my opinion, a really good chance you could get a sort of like rocket through 200. I'm not sure though. You got to clear some of that selling pressure first though. So we'll see how that moves. Ooh, look at Nvidia, just took another little leg up there. So nice move there on Nvidia, up about now 30 basis points, coming out of the red doldrums, so to speak. Doldrums. So we'll see. All right, going back over here to Doomers.
Very sensitive. As Mike pointed out, consumers and business spent the last decade refinancing, locking in those very, very low rates, particularly long-term rates. So they really are not as sensitive to increases in short-term rates as previous cycles. We've only had one negative quarter in the beginning of 22, so it doesn't look like there's a recession. So it looks as if the economy is just going to chug along at a modest rate, and inflation looks like it wants to stay a little bit higher than that Fed's 2% optimal rate. So I think the Fed's a little bit flummoxed because the market isn't doing what it should do according to their rule books.
And I'm looking through your notes, and I see here that you take a look at the economy, and that basically that even with cuts, I mean, this economy could continue to advance. And I read something like that. I think about the Fed's perspective right now. Should we be talking about hikes? Whether or not you actually see that as a possibility, should we be talking about hikes here?
Well, I think
No.
to me it's really a rather mixed picture, and frankly, I don't think a quarter point lowering of rates will really have any material impact in the real economy, especially, as I said, because the economy really has not proven very sensitive over the last couple of years. So whether they do or they don't, I don't think that's really very much a determinant for stocks. I think the economic outlook looks stable, maybe even a little bit improving. So that says to me the stock market has the ability to continue to move up for the rest of the year.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more, because, I mean, that's basically what I've been hearing, that whether or not, regardless of what the Fed does, that the lines are probably going to continue to move up and to the right. But I'm going to go back to a note from Lori.
GameStop's recovering really nicely off that 2269 line, by the way. Like, really good recovery. So, again, I always say trust the lines.
The risk of the S&P 500 declining by 8%, which seems pretty dramatic when you take a look at the levels that we're at. I mean, walk us through your different scenarios here. What's your base case expectation at this point?
Well, it's pretty hard for me to see even an 8% decline in the Standard & Poor's unless there's some material change in the economy. I think basically we're going to move along at say, 8 to 10% annualized rate of increase for the Standard & Poor's over the next, say, 6 to 12 months. Typically, an election year is a good year for the market. The first year of the presidential term is usually a little bit weaker. But we're a long way from that, particularly when you look at the economy, and I don't see any sector that's particularly suffering, vulnerable, and likely to roll over and make the whole economy tumble into recession. So until we see that, I think it's just more of the same. People sort of hoping the market will go lower so they can jump in with the cash they didn't deploy over the last couple of years.
So it sounds like basically you're saying that dip buying impulse, it's still there, and it's something that basically we can bank on.
Well, yes, and particularly if you look at the 10-year Treasury, to me it looks like it's just trapped in a trading range of 4 to 4.5%, and really that's a pretty low hurdle for equities to equal or do better. If you say 1.5% of a dividend, you really don't need very much earnings growth in order to give you the same total return as an intermediate Treasury. So we think stocks are still likely to continue to outperform, especially when I feel that people still have money on the sidelines, that they kept on the sidelines looking for that recession that had been predicted for the last couple of years. It just hasn't happened. So I think there's still money on the sidelines that could come in, throwing in the towel, or if the Fed cuts rates, they find this is a good opportunity. So we think that's a little bit of firepower to help take the market higher, too.
She's been in the industry for 51 years. Wow.
Before we take a break here, I am curious.
That's since like 1973. So she got Paul Volckered.
Need to go into the bond market to find those income plays that if you take a look at dividends right now, that kind of scratches that itch?
Well, I think the dividends are basically about average 1.5% for a typical, say, moderately growthy stock, maybe, say, 2.5 to 3%.
Honestly, like, I want to be like that. Like, when I want to be like 75 and going on CNBC. Well, I remember 42 years ago, or whatever, 75. So what would that be? That'd be 43. Oh, 40, yeah. I remember 43 years ago when Jay Powell finally cut those rates. Everything we expected didn't happen. It's kind of crazy. That's cool. Hey, good for her. You know, that's really cool. I think it's awesome.
And on the topic of returning cash to shareholders, tell me about GM.
Oh, by the way, Jack made me this really cool Father's Day thing. I wanted to share it. It says, Happy Father's Day. And then it's sort of like a tie, because, you know, I wear ties a lot. And it puts different things in here, like about me, I guess. It says, nice, plays with me, good at fixing stuff, funny, I don't know about that, cool, awesome, strong. Oh, that's nice. Happy Father's Day. I want to share a few things that I love and appreciate about you first. Okay, it sounds like the school maybe helped with a little bit of a template there to start with. I love when you play Rust with me. Yeah, yesterday Jack's rating a base on some like 10x server or whatever. And I'm like, Jack, why are you rating them? He's like, they didn't pay rent. Next, I like it when you take me on trips. I take him to look at houses for house hack and that. I don't always do videos because it gets a little redundant, I feel like, sometimes. But people seem to like the mobile videos. They don't get the views that like larger finance videos do. But anyway. Also, my favorite thing about you is you are nice. My favorite memory of us is when we went to the cabin in Wyoming. I appreciate that you fix stuff for me. I love you, Jack. Oh, that's really cool. All right, so what's going on over here? Oh, they didn't pay rent killed me yesterday. So that's cool. Okay, so what's going on over here? Okay, Tesla's almost back at the level. GME's moving in accordance with the line bounce here. Trust the lines, trust the lines. Apple, I think, like I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I think you're going to get selling pressure right when you hit 200. But once you clear the order book of sales at 200, you get a rocket ship out of this sucker. I mean, I don't know, no guarantees, but it's just it's a thesis I have. So anyway, yeah, GME's now about 2% down. I mean, it was down as much as 7%. Bounced right off the line. Easy play right there. Robinhood goes right back into the lines. I don't know what the heck happened over here at Dell, but Dell just had a little bit of enthusiasm. Amazon's at 186. Boy, Amazon's really been stuck in a trading range for a while. I wonder how Amazon's volatility is looking these days. So if I go, it's gotta be low. No, it's average. Yeah, that's why I always like to fact check. Have an opinion, go look. Enphase doing a little bleedy-deedly. Fine. 25, it looks like it's just going to be a negative 25 basis point day on the Qs, I guess. All right, whatever. Whatever. So, let's give Seam Sizzle a look here. Is Sarah on today?
I don't think it's a significant concern. There's a lot of, I think, road to tread here, but I don't think it's something that I'd point out as being a significant risk factor for markets more broadly.
Well, we have an auction, I mean, not a big one, later today. I do wonder, you know, you and I have talked before about the risks around auctions and demand. Have those been quieted, given we've seen some decently successful ones so far this year, or does that become a risk also running into the election?
I think it definitely becomes a risk in the coming, call it 12 to 24 months. And that's really when the cutting cycle starts to get underway and the attractiveness of the front end of the market for cash deposits starts to be a little less alluring. Like, the reality is that there's so much demand in front end for T-bills, so on and so forth, from retail America in particular, that a lot of the supply that needs to get issued can be sopped up by shorter maturities. And as a result, I think the pressure on the longer end has been less than it otherwise would be. I worry about it more from two perspectives. One is that obviously that's a pretty high interest expense burden for the country to be carrying. But secondly, when the curve does ultimately move contango, steepen up, when we get into a cutting cycle, then I think if the issuance needs remain in line with what they are today, then that's going to put further pressure out the curve. And I think the auction story will start to play again.
But this is why the playbook out of Goldman lately has been, it might be soon time to extend duration, right? Or go longer duration.
Yeah, I think so. Look, there's going to be risks out the curve. I think we talked about them from an election perspective. I think we talk about kind of what supply might look like overall in an ongoing Treasury financing environment. But look, out the curve, we still see a lot of annuities being manufactured. We still see a lot of pension fund de-risking. That translates into a lot of demand for long duration fixed income assets.
Well, Johnny, thank you for joining us on a big macro week. We got through a lot there. Johnny Fine from Goldman Sachs. And we're going to have a lot more talk about the Fed and the economy later this hour. Former St. Louis Fed President Jim Bullard will be our guest.
As we go to break, let's take a look at the roadmap for the rest of the hour. Wall Street is weighing in on Apple's big AI day yesterday. We'll talk to one analyst about where he sees the stock going from here. It is the top performing Dow component.
Plus, oil's coming off what was its best day since early February, but energy is the worst performing sector this month and for the quarter. We'll give you a closer look at what is ahead for that group.
Exclusive results from our CNBC Fed survey. What investors and strategists are saying about valuation.
Okay. Here it goes. Apple's about to... GME just turned green, by the way. Right off our line. Bounced perfectly off our freaking line. By the way, you want to see my buy-sell alerts when I trade around the lines. Remember, Stocks and Site Group's got a coupon expiring tomorrow. And we did sort of like a very brief sale here between Monday and Wednesday just because we've got CPI Fed. And we were getting emails from people that are like, Kevin... I want to buy, but there's no coupon on the website. Well, I mean, the coupon's got to go for for some periods of time. It's not always a coupon. And the price goes up over time. The last year, it's sort of been just like straight up. Click, 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 click. It's like a roller coaster. Except does it, is there an intention for it to go down? Nope. We want it to go straight up. We're going to keep adding value to it as well. So then we've got Apple here at... 355 now. It's at the 200 threshold. So, and then GME just got halted. Halt on GME. Good lord. I'm not sure if that's going to be an upside or a downside mover, but you've got you do always have that halting risk at GME as they fill up that order book again, try to get you the theoretical balance, but. Sometimes it could lead to a big red candle or a big green candle. You just don't know when it's halted, which makes it really annoying for trading purposes. Look at that. Rejected at 200 on Apple. Not on. This is along expectations. Clean up the order book. So I think between 199 and right over 200, you got to clean up the order book of sells. And as the day goes on and people go, dang, that thing's up 3% today. It's not that far up from where it was. If that's the next AI play, then okay, all right. This is going to be interesting. I'm really watching this one. So, and then look at that. Tesla's almost right back to that 172 line. Sorry, the 170 line. 170.02 line. So, watching that climb. The lines are what lead me to believe it. That's it. Simple. Okay, resting on that day trade line. Look at that on Hood. That line, mind you, is 22.56. Trade desk up another %. Dell gives up a little bit of its rally mode there. And how's BTCiz doing on coin right now? So coin's at about 442. I think I closed my short right around here. And now I'm using that capital to deploy my strategy for this week, which is exciting. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, okay, what do we have here? The Qs have done nothing. This is boring. Okay, let me see what the suits have for us. Suits, S&P 500 rally is among the most concentrated globally. NVIDIA's influence on the S&P has increased rapidly, making the U.S. one of the most concentrated markets globally. Treasury is reconsidering Friday's sell-off. Let me see what Treasuries are doing. treasures, we are sitting at, yeah, still 445-ish. Yeah, by giving back a little bit, I get it. Okay. People basically buying the dip on treasuries. Makes sense.
Well, they told us it would be, 10, 12 years ago when they initially launched it, right? Which is really using Apple's own LLMs on device, which is great for security, and then partnering with ChatGPT for some of the workloads. Now, if Siri can truly do what it's supposed to do, the way they have kind of envisioned it, and the second part I would say is these.
About 2 minutes to go until GameStop opens again.
iPhone 15 Pro models with an A17 chip. That simplistically could trigger a sizable upgrade cycle, provided the features that.
Oh, I appreciate you, Mitch. Mitch Beck here says, "Thank you for doing these. I find them very insightful as I learn more about trading." That's awesome. I'm always just an education guy. That's my goal. It's I'm not gonna promise somebody riches. I'm not a get rich quick kind of guy. Actually, I'm very much like a get rich slow kind of guy with real estate. Yes, I trade. So far this year profitable on trades, more so than a long portfolio, which is great. But trading is volatile. It can also be very emotional.
To upgrade to the 15, what's your bull case doing right now on iPhone revenue for fiscal 25 or 26?
Yeah, by the way, so this will only work with iPhone 15 Pro, not even the other 15 models that are out there. So our estimate, only 5% of the users right now can probably use Apple Intelligence with the device that they have. Now,
I doubt that, dude.
We kind of look at
like Apple Intel, like upgrading Siri doesn't take that much hardware, bro. That's a crazy estimate. I don't know, you pulled that like straight out of your butt.
Now, you can add about $6-7 billion of revenues, about 2 points of growth. Historically, in a super cycle, you shrink it by about 4 months, which means that 6% revenue growth the street has could look like 13-14%. The EPS.
All right, everybody, you ready for GameStop? We're about 30 seconds away.
The street's at on a 30 multiple, which is what the stock typically trades at. The bull case on this would be 270, 280 in our opinion right now.
You say that this is a uniquely Apple approach to AI, and I just wonder what you mean there, because everybody is pitching this, right? Personalized
on device.
Gen AI features.
Okay, it's on device. That's what's unique, okay? All right, got it. We need to watch GME. It's going to unlock in about 3 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Here it is. Oh, it's going up. 4.7, 4.8, 5.5%. That's a green candle after the halt. Oh, no! This is why the halts are so ridiculous. What is this? No! Golly, this is why people get pissed at the halts. This is why people get so pissed. And it's always only GME that this happens to. Holy smokes, now it's only up 1%. Oh, what a rip. 1.5. It's coming back. 2%. It's still alive. All right. We'll keep an eye on it. So still cleaning up the order book there, right at $200 at Apple. This is really important. Again, my thesis is when you slowly creep over 200 and the sell order book has been cleaned up to where you have a buy-in balance, you're going to be in a place where you can finally start moving. 205, 210, 215. This could be a $230, $250 stock pretty quickly. And I think Nvidia will get punished by that. So like, if I was looking for a trading pair, I'd be, considering short Nvidia, long Apple. I'm going to make a video on this, but you realize Apple's AI hurts Nvidia, right? All right, at least to some extent. Been a long investor for years, been watching you for years, stock course member, and coming to the Vegas event. That's amazing. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Make sure you bring your wrists are well rested so you could either type or write. Lots of good info. So that's gonna be really fun. So Apple AI updating your iPhone turns it into an Android. That's actually pretty funny. Biggest spread trade over the next 5 years, short Nvidia, long Tesla. Ooh. You got a little anger there. No, I actually, honestly, I agree with you. Don't tell anyone. It's my secret. Yeah, coin's coming back a little bit here. And you've got the Qs up at 20 basis points. This is actually good. If you could break the Qs into green, Apple's gonna move, I think. Again, I don't know. I can't guarantee it. Let's look at GME here. Holding on to that 2%. And... Alright. Ubiquity, 141. They just announced some new Wi-Fi access points, by the way. They have the U7s now with, I think, like 15 to 50% greater throughput, depending on which band you're on. I always find that over time, Wi-Fi in a house or an office tends to degrade, not because the wireless access points are degrading, but because people are adding more and more devices. It makes it very challenging for these access points to keep up. Look at that Tesla rejection, right? Pretty much right there on my line. Come on, baby. Come on. There, yeah, here's Apple pushing forward again. All right, so we'll see. We'll see how this transitions here. And GME is going back to about 2 and a bit. Barnes & Noble just got halted for a regulatory concern. Uh-oh. 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 Down 29%, and it gets halted for a regulatory concern. Really? That literally just popped up on my screen. Boom, regulatory halt. Oh no. Oh no. That's not limit up, limit down. That's like, we got ourselves a little bit of a potential fraud problem. And now I don't know, is that trading fraud or is it company fraud? No, nobody knows, but regulatory concern. Ooh. You gotta be nice to the regulators, okay? Just be nice. Follow the rules. As long as, to the extent that the rules are clear. Sometimes the rules are a little unclear. That's why I'm really curious to see what happens with Roaring Kitty. Knock on wood, nothing. It's a reiteration of free speech. To the extent that it's not considered any kind of momentum ignition. We'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, I don't think you want to have the attitude of F the criminals at the SEC if you're regulated. See, like, if you're Elon, probably the worst position to take is F the SEC. Because they don't go away. It's like, if anything, you just gotta aggravate them. It's like, just work with them, help them out, I don't know, that's just my thesis, but you got way too many regulated businesses. You know, if he wants to IPO SpaceX at some point in the future, the SEC can make his life miserable at every step of the way. So I don't know. It's just not worth it. I think it's short-sightedness is what it is, but, that doesn't really surprise me about Elon. Which, don't get me wrong, I think Elon has like 2 eyeballs. I think one eyeball is like 10-year horizon and like such a visionary, right? And then one eyeball is like, how do I feel today and what can I say that's popular for social opinion? So it's like, there's no medium term at Elon. It's like 10 years or the next 24 hours of sentiment. It's a little stupid. Like, if you could just get like an average, maybe, can we, maybe there'd be some less issues. Less issues? No. Issues are countable. There'd be fewer issues. The grammarian. All right. So, let's go ahead and send this. Okay, that's the course member live stream alert. Okay, so what else we got, folks? What else? Oh, Apple's up 4%. Let's go! Let's freaking go! Woo! I told you I literally said it like 17 times on this live stream. I think if you clean up the order book at $200, this thing's going to explode. I don't know how long it'll hold here, but that's remarkable. Let me go to the unaveraged on the 1 min right here. So, yeah, you're about to be 201, and the Qs are now getting lifted by Apple, as opposed to anything else. This is pretty interesting. So looks like 403, 404, and 405, 406. Oh wow, look at that. That's crazy. 412 now. It really, what you're gonna get today is institutions that are like, okay, so the $200 order book is cleared. Now you could just run, baby. 205 coming up. Like I said, I mean, no guarantee. I can't guarantee this stuff, but I think there's probably an opportunity to go to trade this. I'm trading it. I'm just saying broadly, you know, again, not personalized financial advice. I'm sure there'll be like dipply-doodlaws during the day and stuff, but these are going to be things to pay attention to. So somebody says Kevin's puts are getting destroyed. You know, I don't know where people come up with this kind of garbage, because yesterday I made $13,000 on Apple puts, and right now I am sitting on Apple calls. Thank you very much. If you were in the course member live stream, you'd know. I'm a little happy about that right now. So thank you. But I don't know how long that'll keep going. But I do think actually probably that's going to be the trend over the next few days, is you're going to be seeing this move here. So somebody is like, emotional damage. Somebody goes, why do people hate so hard? You know, I don't know, honestly. I try so hard just to provide value and perspective. And you know, we're in finance where SH9T changes on like a daily basis, you know? And so it's hard to constantly like keep your thesis updated. And so that's why I created the Stocks and Psych course, where I could just send like, okay, here's my take on what's going on and what moves I'm gonna make. So that's just the thesis, and so I'm gonna stick with it. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's go. Okay. So that was nice. Okay, let me just send that really quickly. Okay, so I just closed Apple. Oh, let's go. It's a good day. That's a 65K day right here. Let's go. I always like to say the proof is in the pudding. I don't have days like this all the time. So it's, I'm really engaged though in, you know, when I have downtime in between and I see a trend, I'm gonna post some things. Okay, so I could just put that up on screen because I you know, want people to see and believe it. So like I say, you know, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. The year's been good. Last week was really bad, but still way up from where we were before that. And it's all about finding like the new trends. And so like the worst thing you could do, and this is why I always talk about, it's like you can learn a lot from, like, even if you don't trade, you could learn a lot seeing me make moves that win or lose. Like, I think if you can learn from the wins and the losses, that's where the money is. Okay, Nvidia keeps moving down here. But this is the P&L today. up 65.7. I was really hoping for 69K, but I got 40K here on, this is the realized P&L, right? 40K on an Apple pickup on that $200 break, which I've been talking about like for 40 minutes on the live stream. So I've been pretty transparent about it. And then I closed my short coin when it was down like 5 and a bit %. So the stock was down, therefore the position was up. So we'll see what happens here. But Greystone says Kevin never loses. That's definitely not true. Where were you on May 31st when I posted a video like drunk with a SpongeBob mug on a live stream and I was basically crying like a little bitch? Anyway, for all the for anybody just curious about there's a really large trade I'm making outside of Apple. It's a volatility trade, and it's a huge trade, and I'm making this trade this week. If you want to know what that is, I think I found something that creates a potential asymmetric opportunity in the market. We'll see. But I will be talking about that in the course member live stream here soon, so buckle up for that. We'll chat more about that in just a moment. And yeah, thank you for being here as always. If you want to join, you get lifetime access. Coupon expires tomorrow. Email us at staff@mekevin.com if you have questions. But otherwise, for now, let's go ahead and push the button. I gotta make some more coffee. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I personally operate and actively manage ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Boom, 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 baby, boom, 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 touching my line, touching my line. Hey, you need permission to touch that line. Straight Chillaxin says, to be fair, that Jack didn't look chilled. I'd be crying a bit too. The Jack Daniels. It's a good idea. I should shove that in the freezer. All right. I gotta say, I gotta go chat with the kids and then go to the course member live. Probably take another 5 minutes or so since I'm a little behind here, but I get to it. Bye.